Hello and welcome. I'm Jennifer from Joy of Stationery, and this is an exciting video for me because I will be setting up and decorating my Hobonichi 2024 weeks because it technically begins the last week of November, which is the week coming up at the time of this filming. You can see that I have the beautiful tiny dragons weeks from the 2024 lineup and my customized blue TN, which I'm putting off on the side because I'm hoping to combine the weeks with a standard TN setup for 2024, and hopefully we'll see how it goes. In the filming of this video, I decided to focus mainly on decoration actually, and I'm using elements from Eric Small Things primarily just as the kind of aesthetic basis for this particular Hobonichi Weeks. And so I hope that this will just be a nice cozy time if you'd like to grab a drink and start setting up your Hobonichi Weeks or any other planner with me. You're welcome to do so. I've brought here some of the elements that I had already started using to decorate, all from Eric Small Things. I've got a number of the stamps here and the stamp pads that came in the stationery sets, as well as some elements on paper, and those have come from an A5 loose leaf Eric Small Things calendar for 2024 that I exclusively picked up for the sake of being able to repurpose a number of the designs and illustrations for the decorating and setup of this Hobonichi Weeks. So you can see that right there. I'll be showing you a little bit of how I have set it up in the beginning so far, and then the rest of the video will be me decorating in real time. So I've actually sped that up so that it goes a little bit more quickly. So I want to begin by showing you what I've done in the front cover here, the inside front cover, and I've used the Eric Small Things stamps just to provide a cute little introductory page as I enter into this Hobonichi Weeks. And I used another little element as well as cut out this cute stack of books with the cats from the Hobonichi brochure. I also already ended up setting up December, and it was a way to just kind of test out what I wanted to do, and I like how it came out. I used some of these Eric Small Things elements from the A5 loose leaf calendar along with some stickers, and for the first weekly spread for this coming week, you can see that I added some things as well, like this memo. Let me just freeze frame here so that I can talk a little bit about what I decided to do for the layout on the weeks. I'll be speaking a little bit more to the actual setup and how I'm going to be using these planners in a future video along with my full 2024 lineup, but I just kind of wanted to show you that I've been experimenting here with the layout that I think that I would like to carry with me for an everyday carry 2024 weeks. And I've used these memo block elements from Eric Small Things, and this is from that A5 loose leaf calendar, at the start of each of the months in the weekly pages. You can see here that I have also done a splash of deco for the notes pages, and I'll be using most of the rest of this time to show you the speeded up video and to have a little chat while I decorate and set up the rest of the month's pages, as well as get started on some of the week's pages. I find that it's always such an exciting time when we can start setting up the new planners, and so it gets me quite excited to think about how I would like to set the planner up, as well as think about the kind of aesthetic tie-in for everything. And so for me, I chose Eric Small Things because I really love her clean and simple aesthetic that's also really cute. And I feel like the crispness and the clarity of the images would be great to set the tone for a clean and refreshed start to the new year. The Cute Things from Japan website has a really great little bio for Eric of Eric Small Things, and it reads that Eric is a Japanese eraser stamp artist known for her cute little illustrations where she expresses her, quote, little happy things in everyday life, end quote. And I just love that theme for the new year, really kind of appreciating the little joys, the little happy things in everyday life. And to continue with the bio reads that the design of the Eric Small Things stamps and various designs are made in a way that she curved all designs on an eraser, stamped the image on paper, and then stamped images are used for a product. I feel like the resulting designs from Eric Small Things eraser stamps are really just so cute and yet so unique to her. And I love, again, how clear each image is presented, and they're just really delightful to look at on the page. You can recognize a number of her recurring motifs, and one is using this kind of stamp look, postage stamp look. And so these are the elements that came on the A5 loose leaf calendar, and I've decided to cut out the stamp elements that present the month and the year very clearly, but also provide a kind of decorative element. And I feel like this is simple enough to still give a little bit of a minimalist look to the page while giving it a little bit of character in the corner there. If you are anything like me, you might have found that when we set up our planners at the beginning of the year, or at the end of the previous year rather, we can get really excited, and I feel like having some time to kind of decorate a journal or a planner can be a really lovely time of self-care. But as I noticed the past couple of years, I can get quite excited about decorating and really get into the decorating mood for the particular aesthetic that I'm in the mood for in that moment, and it might not be an aesthetic that I'm really feeling later on in the new year. Sorry about that. That's also my cute little cat who's making cute little noises. And so what I wanted to do this time around, having learned my lesson the past 2 years, is go with something that, as I mentioned, would provide a kind of clean aesthetic. And I think that it's super cute, but also neutral enough or minimalist enough that if I wanted to add some stickers, like you can see on this weekly spread here, I can do that, and it still kind of complements the main simplistic elements from Eric Small Things well, while still giving me the pleasure of being able to kind of set up and add some decoration to the planner as I get excited to use it in the new year. And you can see that this is what I did for the December monthly as well, as add those other little sticker elements to make it a little bit more festive while also using the Eric Small Things as kind of the basis for my decorating. I will say that sometimes it's also in the process of decorating and starting to set things up and really kind of engaging and interacting with the new planner that I began to realize what I would like to do with some of the elements, some of the decoration, as well as some of the setup. And so you can see that a little cutout of the memo block right there that's on my desk that's already been cut out there. I was experimenting with whether I wanted to have that on the monthly spread. And instead, as you saw in the weekly that I set up earlier, I ended up deciding to bring in those memo block elements that came with each month in the loose leaf calendar and set those up on each of the weekly spreads where a new month began. And what I plan to use it for is actually to bring attention to a word of the month. So this is a practice that I started doing in September, is kind of coming up with a word of the month, and I have really been liking it. In September, my word of the month was recover. In October, it was persevere. In November, it is currently build. I'm still deciding on my December word of the month, but I have liked it so much, and it's been so helpful to kind of tie the month together, that I'd like to continue this practice in 2024. And so I thought that having a memo block on each of the weekly spreads where a new month begins would be a great way to remind myself of that practice and to kind of continue in the spirit of coming up with a word or theme of the month that can really guide me through and kind of navigate the weeks and days ahead in that month. I have occasionally experimented with a word of the year as well. And I have found that because a year is so long, it's a little bit harder for it to stick sometimes. And so I think that's why I've begun to experiment with a word of the month instead, and perhaps build my way to a word of the year or something. But I'd be curious to know if you do anything similarly. I know that there are a number of folks in the stationery and planner community who come up with a word of the year, and I always really love seeing that and seeing the different themes or values that people come up with that they'd like to prioritize in that year. And, I'd be curious to hear if you do the same or if you also do something similar for a word of the month. So you can see just a moment ago that I had placed the memo block on the weekly page that had the beginning of the new month, which was for, I believe, for January, because I had already set up the beginning of the December weekly page. And what I am also thinking about there are these additional lovely little images that came on the loose leaf calendar. And I thought that it would be a nice idea to use those images to, again, provide a simple but lovely little accent on each page to just give it a little bit of character. So this is what you'll be seeing me doing in the next bit of the video. I've decided to speed it up even more just so that you don't have to kind of sit through the cutting and the pasting in real time. But you'll see that I am using a number of these really cute elements, and I love that each one is different, and I love the variety of the different images that Eric Smallthings has come up with, as much as I also love the way that you can recognize some of the motifs that recur, but in different ways. Sorry if you can hear my cat doing his little scratching in the background. I'm currently based in the UK, and it has started to get really, really cold here, where I am at least. And the days have certainly been getting a lot darker. Here, come 4:30, it's pretty much dark. And so this has taken a little bit of getting used to for me. When I was in the States, I was living in an area that had more temperate weather. And, certainly we weren't necessarily seeing sunset from the hours of, 3:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon. So it's been a bit of an adjustment, but it's also been nice to have some cozy moments. We have an electric fireplace here, and so it's always really nice come this season to be able to turn it on and enjoy a hot cup of tea. Something that I've also really loved about this season, because it is the festive season, is being able to sample a number of different festive and holiday hot chocolates from different cafes. I am a big hot chocolate, hot cocoa lover and enthusiast, and I love how the season also brings out all of these different kinds of festive flavors. There's a really lovely little local cafe nearby, and they have come out with this chestnut hot chocolate for the holidays, and it was just so delicious. Granted, I have to have my hot chocolate with oat milk because I am lactose intolerant, but it was really divine. So I'm going to slow the video down a little bit just to flip through some of what I've done so far. You can see the monthlies here, and December, of course, I've decorated it a little bit more. And again, here are my opening pages. And again, I quite like the simple but still full of character nature of the decoration so far. And then moving on to the monthlies with December setup, and then January and February with those first little character setting elements and the first weekly page there, and some following weeklies. So at this point, I have finished all the elements for the monthlies, and so I just wanted to show you a quick flip through what the months are looking like. So you can see that there's a uniformity there with the beautiful postage stamp design featuring the month and the year, as well as another little decorative element all on the corners of each of the monthly spreads, and I really like how it came out. I do think that it ties everything really well together, and again, it's really fun to see what different elements are featured for each of the months based on Eric Smallthing's designs. And there's even one for January of 2025, which I think looks really nice. So I am putting away some of my materials that I use to decorate and getting ready to set up my Hobonichi Weeks in the Traveler's Notebook. So first I wanted to show you, this is the pencil board that I got for the weeks. This is the Hiroko Kubota design, and I'll be fitting that right on in. And I have here my standard Traveler's Notebook in the blue color, customized with a few things. I also have here this all canvas wallet from Baum-Kuchen from a couple years ago. You can see that I did a little bit of a botched stamp job on the front there, but I brought it back out because I realized that the colors of this would fit really perfectly with the Tiny Dragon's Weeks, as you can see there. So what I wanted to do is create a setup of the Hobonichi Weeks inside the standard Traveler's Notebook, as I mentioned earlier. And this is inspired by the setup that Setuna has, and I will link her channel below, where she keeps her Hobonichi Weeks in a standard Traveler's Notebook. And she does so by using a clear cover on cover for the Hobonichi Weeks. And the cover on cover is what is used to insert into the string of the Traveler's Notebook. So I'm struggling a little bit here, but you can see that I've put the clear cover on cover so that it's being used as an insert, and then I am inserting the Hobonichi Weeks inside the clear cover on cover, like so. And so what you get is the string of the Traveler's Notebook inside of the clear cover on cover, but outside of the Hobonichi Weeks. So it's held between there, like so. You can sort of see that. And I'm so glad that this all canvas wallet is such a perfect fit for the Tiny Dragon's Hobonichi Weeks. I also have a few other things from the Traveler's Company, as well as the standard insert by Megan Rhiannon that I am inserting on in. It'll be a bit of a chunky setup overall, but I am really looking forward to being able to carry around an everyday Hobonichi Weeks in my system and use it as part of my Traveler's Notebook. So you can see how it's all kind of fitting together. I hope that this was interesting to watch, and I hope that you all are having fun setting up your Hobonichi Weeks or your 2024 planners as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.